Swami Nigamananda Giri. He's already with us. We welcome you, Swamiji. He's a senior monk of the Yogoda Satsanga Society, which is, in fact, for the last 100 years, for the last century, Yogoda Satsanga Society of India has been dedicated to carrying on spiritual and humanitarian work of its founder, Paramahansa Yogananda. Can we now invite and welcome and seek the blessings of Swami Nigamananda Giri? Pranam.
Coming to this conference, I just got reminded of a wonderful thought expressed by Charlie Chaplin. He said, life laughs at you when you are unhappy. Life smiles at you when you are happy. And life salutes you when you make others happy. This apparently is one of the thoughts of this conference, where I'm supposed to speak on the subject of humanity, power, and spirituality. Many of us here would be well aware of this particular poem, which you have learned, I guess, and recited umpteen times from our school days. And this particular poem more or less captures the spirit of this congregation, where so many of the speakers who have demonstrated in their own lives the understanding of both humanity and spirituality together. Abu Ben Adham, may his tribe increase. I'll try to speak of this poem, not exactly. I might change it here and there for the short time that I have to speak about my topic. Abu Ben Adham, may his tribe increase, awoke one night from a deep dream of peace and saw in his room an angel writing in a book of gold. Abu Ben Adham asked him, "What is it that you are writing?" And the presence in the room replied, "The names of those who love the Lord." Abu Ben Adham asked, "Is my name one?" "Nay, not so." Then Abu Ben Adham, God knows what got into him, he asked, "Then put my name down as one who loves his fellow men." He did so. The spirit, the presence in the room did so and left. But he returned the next night, and showed him the names whom the love of God had blessed. And lo, Ben Adham's name led all the rest. 1894, Swami Yukteswar ji, who happened to be the guru of Paramhansa Yogananda, was moving through the grounds of Kumbh Mela in Allahabad. He apparently had the same kind of thought, reflecting over the particular scenario that he was encountering with so many people, so much crowd, so much noise in that area. He thought to himself whether the people, the scientists who are carrying out such great research for the humanity, locked up in their rooms, are they not better loved by the divine? The thought came to him. Whether they are dedicating their lives to such for the welfare of humanity, are they not spiritual? That kind of thought emerged in his consciousness. Around that time, he met a great servant, great master in the Kumbh Mela, Mahavatar Babaji, who apparently understood the thought that passed through Swami Yukteswar's mind. And he said, the time has come when the spirituality of India and the materiality with which the West is so rich will be in exchange. And India has a good part to play, and even Swami Yukteswar ji had a good part to play in it. He said, flood-like thoughts, these thoughts of other men, great men come from the West to him, who are awaiting to be awakened. Years later, a young lad met Swami Yukteswar ji, very much exactly as Mahavatar Babaji had mentioned that lad would meet him. And Swami Yukteswar ji trained him and sent him to the West with that immortal message of India, of the yoga science. And that was Paramhansa Yogananda, who carried that eternal message of truth, of that power, the potency of that yoga science, which, as Babaji had said, will help people understand the deeper thing and on the foundation thereof, understand his beliefs in the West. Paramahansa Yogananda writes in his autobiography of a yogi about his early years in Master's Hermitage. In the early years, he said that he had come with certain notions about the chela or a spiritual aspirant need not really concern himself so much about so many duties, mundane duties, etc. But this thought was soon removed under the wonderful training, rigorous training of his guru, Swami Yukteswar ji. Swami Yukteswar ji one day said to him, those who are too good for this world are already adorning another. He said, so long as you breathe the free air of this earth, you are duty-bound, obligated to serve the people. Only those who have attained the breathless state are freed of this necessity. And he added, Swami Yukteswar ji, I'll not fail to let you know when you have attained that state of perfection. That state of perfection that Swami Yukteswar ji speaks about, what could that be, that high state of perfection? Many of us here among the audience and others would be well aware of the famous text Mandukya Karika by Gaudapada. He happened to be the Param Guru of Adi Shankaracharya. This Karika speaks of the highest essence of spirituality. And in there, something he says on which Shankaracharya comments. Shankaracharya says that high state of elevation that these great masters attain is such that they feel attunement with all being. And in that attunement, they serve all people. Even the gods fail to understand, fail to follow in the strides of these men who apparently fly like birds, leaving no track behind. That means even those great spiritual souls embrace this concept of humanity, which becomes a part of their beings. And sarva bhuta hite rataha, as Gita says, ever thinking, considering the world around, the people around. Paramahansa Yogananda says, life should be chiefly of service. Without that idol, the intelligence that God has given man does not reach towards his goal. When in service, you forget the little self, the big self of spirit is felt within. But there is a confusion that often comes, as it did to Arjuna. When Krishna spoke to him and said about that high state of experiences that one has in spirituality. Soon after, he follows it up, saying that one should fight the battle of his life. Arjuna was in dilemma. He wondered, how is it? Asking a boy to come and sit down and study, and at the same time asking him to go and play. How does he do both the things at the same time? Quite a dilemma indeed. Jayasichet karmanaste mata buddhi janardana tatkin karmani ghore mangniyo jayasi keshava vyamisreniyo vakyena buddhi mohasi iyo me tadekam vada nishchitya yena sreyo aham apnuyam. You're confusing me, Lord, with this kind of statement. If you consider Jayasichet, if you consider it's greater, Karmanaste mata buddhir janardana, if wisdom is greater than work, why do you engage me in this horrendous activity of war? Commenting on this, Paramahansa Yogananda says that to attain the highest state of consciousness, there are certain rungs along the way, whether it be social, whether it be moral, religious, or meditation. They're all spiritual activities leading to that goal. And he gives a wonderful analogy. He says, there's like the flower and the fruit. Fruit is the final essence of a tree, but the flower is essential for its attainment, for the tree to blossom and have the fruits. So until the fruits come, flowers remain. When the fruits come, flowers drop off. But until then, flowers are essential. So flowers of activity, spiritual activity, religious activity, social activities are important to attain that state of consciousness, of spirituality. A lot of inspirations are given by great souls about this. In this world, there's nothing left to be attained by those who are all the time thinking of the welfare of others. Parapokarang yeshang jagarti hridaye satam nashyantu vipadusteshang. All their difficulties are gone. Those who are all the time engaged in paropakar, in the welfare of others. And hridaye satam, all the time in his consciousness, how he can help others, that kind of thought is always there. Sampada suyupade pade. In every step, he gets a lot of wealth, an inner, external wealth. Sampada suyupade pade. Paramahansa Yogananda speaks about it and says, it's sad to see people who are suffering. God feels sad when people are suffering. In a higher state of consciousness, he is one with the infinite in that awareness. But then there's another being of his consciousness in the world around him. And it saddens him to suffer. And to the degree that one removes the woes of people, to that degree, one removes that suffering from God also. This thought was something which affected one of our devotees in Los Angeles, Dennis Weaver. And he reflected on it and he said, it struck me like a ton of bricks. One removes it from God also. Is that not an incentive enough to serve humanity, serve the people? He started an organization, Life. Love in feeding everybody. And 150,000 people every week were fed by him. Those who were malnourished, needing food, even in a place like Los Angeles County, where he lived and served. And for years together, that mission continued, feeding so many people every day, every week, so to say. He said, he was so much drawn to Paramahansa Yogananda's teachings. He said that indeed, to feel that love, one has to go into meditation, experience one's association with the divine, and in and through that association, one feels a kind of closeness with the people around and cannot but want to serve them. At an interview, he was asked what might have motivated him to this service. He found the question rather strange. He said, I'm seeing people going hungry. Is that not motivation enough? But then he also said, there's yet another thought, that in serving people, there's a joy in the heart, in service. So in one way, it cannot really be called altruistic, because there is an interest of the joy in our heart. One might not consciously seek it, but one experiences it nevertheless. And to the degree one serves humanity, he feels a fulfillment inside him. Paramhansa Yogananda says that what is success? Basically, one should realize that life is a joyous battle of duty and at the same time a passing dream. And if you are engaged in removing the suffering of people to giving them love and peace and joy, then in the eyes of God, your life is a success. Sisi Dayamataji, who had been the Sangamata of our organization for a pretty long time, she remarked, spirituality is of course important to give an edge to one's humanitarian activities, efforts, endeavors. In that, she says that what if we didn't have the power in us to serve? What if God took away the power to serve? Then how do you do it? So acknowledging the presence of the divine within us consciously, it helps the humanitarian effort. Not only that, one might serve humanity. Often it might be that you are serving somebody who is trying to do harm to another. You might have done something, you might have healed him, but he continues in his bad ways. But if a person who is a healer, he himself understands his spirituality and does good, he himself is good, then he transmits that goodness into the healed one. And therefore, in a way, he helps humanity in a higher status, in a way that people continue to do good and people to get transformed. So life is one in which there's continuity of wanting to serve and continuing to make people better all through. One needs strength to do this. One needs the power to do this. In fact, that is part of our talk today. I might have that humanitarian spirit, but often it might so happen that whatever service we might be doing to another, it is not recognized, or you might be looked down upon, as one of the great philanthropists that we all are aware of, Vidyasagar. He experienced. Somebody came and told him that, so-and-so person was speaking ill of you. Vidyasagar scratched his head and said, well, I don't really remember having done anything good to this person, having benefited him in any way. I wonder why is he speaking ill of me? Strange. People speak ill of you when you are doing good to them. People might discourage you, and one might feel little off in one's wanting to serve people. What does he get? Thankless job, so to say. How does one go over it? Humility. It is said that humility is some quality, if you can acquire it, that helps you in a way to sustain yourself amidst all the criticisms around you. It is said Chaitanya Mahaprabhu never wrote really anything except just 8 stanzas. And in one of the stanzas therein, he speaks of being lesser than the grass or the straw. Trinadapi sunichana taroriva sahishnuna amanina manadena kirtaniya sadaharihi. Trinadapi sunichana. Think yourself as lesser than the grass or the straw. And be sahishnu, be enduring like a tree. The tree is chopped, but the tree yet continues to give shelter. And respect those whom others may not respect. So always go around in that. Lahari Mahashaya, who happens to be the guru of Swami Yukteswar ji and the Param Guru of Paramhansa Yogananda. He said once on an occasion from his office, he got some free time, and he happened to go to Kumbh Mela of Allahabad, Allahabad was close to his place where he worked and stayed. And there, for a short time he went, and he was moving through the grounds, and he saw there was a sadhu sitting there, an anchorite, and he gazed at him with a begging bowl. He was sitting, and Lahari Mahashaya thought that this person might be a hypocrite. He passed him by, and he came to another person, and he found his own guru, Mahavatar Babaji, was attending to him. And he rushed to his side. Babaji, what are you doing, Gurudev? Babaji said, I'm just washing his feet, and then I'm going to wash his utensils, which he has used. And then he smiled, and with a child's smile, he said that through serving the people, good and bad, saints and hypocrites all over, wherever, I'm learning the greatest virtue that pleases God, humility. Having that as a part of your consciousness, you serve humanity and you get empowered. This is important on the spiritual path to protect and proceed in our lives. I might close with one short verse of Paramhansa Yogananda Ji, which perhaps encapsulates the entire theme of this talk, actually carrying all these three thoughts here. Weep tears as none have shed for God. Give peace to all whom none other gave. Claim him your own, who is everywhere disclaimed. Love all as none have felt. And brave the battle of life with strength unchanged. The first line speaks of spirituality. The last line speaks of the power. And the lines in between speaks of humanity. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Thank you so much. Swami Nigamananda Giri, thank you so much for these wonderful revelations that you shared with us.